Hi guys! So, spring is in the air and I'm wearing short sleeves. So, time for another draw. Now, let's see what's going to be my next read. I'm very excited for this. Oh, let it be something in the 40s because I have read anything in the 40s. Oh, I was actually just talking about this book. So, this is actually the final prompt number 50. And that is a book about Afrofuturism. I had a bit of a hard time with this because I wanted to go for, what's her name? I'm terrible with names. The Okafor. Like I said, I'm terrible with names. Anyway, you know the woman who wrote Binti and stuff like that. So I want to go with her, but then there were some controversial stuff about her. So I was like, nah, I'm just not going to go there. So, but I found a kind of an interesting book. I don't know if I'm actually going to like it or what it's going to be like, but it sounds like something up in my alley. So, Drayden. So the book is Escaping Exodus by what was her name? Nicky Drayden. Like I said, terrible with names. So, selecting this book was an adventure, and I really like the cover for this one. So let's see, what is it about? Let's read. So what I do is I have a list of all the books for the prompts, and I have links for all of them to go right onto their Goodreads page so that I can read out the synopsis very easily and find it very easily. So, work ahead and you'll be easy. Okay, so let's see, what is this book about? Escaping Exodus is a story of a young woman named Seski Cayley, heir to the command of a biological city-sized starship carved up from the insides of a spacefaring beast. Again, very Starship UK. Interesting. Her clan has just now called their latest ship, and the workers are busy stripping down the bonework for building materials, rerouting the circulatory system for mass transit, and preparing the cavernous creature for the onslaught of the general population still in stasis. Wonder why they are doing this. It's all part of the cycle her clan had instituted centuries ago: excavate the new beast, expand into its barely living carcass? I hope I'm saying that right. Extinguish its resources over the course of a decade, only a decade. Then escape in a highly coordinated exodus back into stasis until they cull the next beast from the diminishing herd. Doesn't sound sustainable, guys. And of course, there wouldn't be much of a story if things didn't go terribly wrong. Escaping Exodus is scheduled to be in reader's orbit summer 2019, so it wasn't updated after it was published. It was first published in 2019, October 15, so at least this century, millennium. So it says it has queer, space opera, that sort of stuff. And there should be an audiobook. I haven't found the audiobook for this, so I'll have to look for it. I still have credits on Audible, so if all fails, then I'll just do a credit for it. But yeah, like I said, it sounds interesting. And also I think, was that this book? Because for one book I read something about a matrilinear line. I'm not sure. But anyway, so a sci-fi book, finally. yeah, like you saw with the Olivia Waite series, I do like sci-fi. I'm actually now catching up on all the Star Trek that has been coming up out, and also 60th anniversary for Star Trek. Yay! I'm hoping for good things this year for Star Trek because I've been a Trekkie since I was about 7, 8. I grew up watching, well, I kind of learned a lot of my English. I think I said this for the other sci-fi book that I learned a lot of my English from Star Trek way back when. And yeah, sci-fi has always been my thing. Guess who was unpopular? Okay. I also love superheroes, so yeah. Oh well. Stay tuned for my review of this book and we'll see how I like it. Oh, exciting. 50. See you in the next one. Bye. Hi guys! So this is a review of Escaping Exodus by Nicky Drayden, which I read for the 2026 PopSugar Reading Challenge, prompt number 50. And that was a book about Afrofuturism. So everyone is black, so I'm good. That's a joke. The author actually calls it Afrofuturism, so... but everyone is also black, so... Anyway, I give this book 4.5 stars, 5 in most places, and I really enjoyed it. This is basically about people who live in these kind of beasts, which are very Starship UK. If you know, you know, Doctor Who. And they are these big creatures that live in herds and move among the stars, and they're thousands and thousands of years old. And what people do is that they have these ships, and well, one ship specifically for this book, but they latch on to these beasts and then retrofit the insides to their liking, and then everyone who has been in stasis for this procedure wakes up, and then they just live in it for about 12 years when the creature dies, and they go back into the ship. Most of them go back into stasis, and then the whole process starts again. So this actually also creates conflict. And this book, it has very rich world building. So there are a lot of problems with this society, not just the whole unsustainable part of this thing, but also there are like problems with society, for example. So the society is very structured. There are the elites who get their whole homes done, and to the smallest little chip thing, everything is just as it was on the previous creature. And then there are the beast workers. They're the working class who just basically sort of close approximation of stuff is mainly there. But they still actually mostly lose everything that was in the previous beast. Like they can't bring anything. So that also creates a problem. But also because this society is so structured, there is, of course, social tensions. And that is marked by the dual point of view of this book. So one point of view is Seska, who is an elite. She's going to be the leader. She's the future leader of their people because it like passed down. And the other point of view is her best friend and love of her life, Adala, who's actually a beast worker. And also within beast workers, because through Adala's point of view, we see how this whole thing works. And even within beast workers, there's a lot of divide based on which organs they work or which part of the beast they work in. And it's very rich because they also have different cultures. And so Seska is, she's actually, so this whole world is based on matriarchy. And her mom is the matriarch, who is the leader of their people. And Seska is her daughter, and she's going to be the next matriarch. She actually also has a sister, which she's not supposed to have. But there were two pregnancies at the same time in their family unit, because another interesting thing about this is that basically no one is monogamous. So they live in these family units, which are 9 people. And these family units of 9 people are divided into 3 trios. And the 3 trios are always made up of 1 man and 2 women. And they kind of, get together. And but they can't get together with anyone in the family who's not in their trio. So in 2 trios, pregnancies happened almost at the same time, and Seska was born first, and they were supposed to like any other pregnancy, but Seska was actually born premature, so the other pregnancy stayed. In case she doesn't make it, she made it, and that's why she has a sister, and no one else basically has a sister. But there are a lot of layers in this book to the society problems. And also there's sort of reverse sexism, because here actually the men are the ones that are treated poorly and as inferior and as less capable than women. And that was an interesting thing. And we mostly see that through 2 men's eyes who are prominent characters in the story. And they're actually part of Seska's story, not Adala's story. And it's very interesting because they also sort of form a love triangle with Seska. But also Adala is kind of also in the picture. So it's kind of mixed up. But actually, for the most of the book, we see Seska's storyline and Adala's storyline is 2 separate storylines. Adala's storyline is more concerned of the workers' things, and Seska's storyline is more concerned over the global thing, and also their beasts and how they're going to live their lives and stuff like that. And so nothing gets, well, some things get resolved in the story, but not too much, because this is part of a duology. And of course, everything gets solved in the second book. But I found it really interesting and I highly recommend it. It's very, very complex, and the whole love thing is kind of on the wayside, which I was happy about. So yeah, I enjoyed this story and I highly recommend it, especially to people who love sci-fi, but also for people who love to explore different kinds of societies and who like very complex world building and in ideas about how a society could function in a very different way from what we're familiar with. So yeah, it was a very complex book, and it was also the 20th book that I read this year. So I'm going to have to take off 2 numbers, 19, and this goes on, and here's the 0. So yeah, 20 books read this year so far. Aren't I glad? And it's the end of March, so 20 in 3 months. not bad for someone with a full-time job and a single mother to a toddler. So I'll read my written reviews. I go into a bit more detail. And those and the usual sites, you see those coming. And if you would like, please follow me. I've not been getting many new followers recently, so